Texas A&M continues to add much-needed depth to the wide receiver room via the portal.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on in to Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedon and use code LOCKEDON for a first deposit match up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Texas A&M continues to add players via the portal. And you know, they added 2 players over the weekend. Hope everyone had a great weekend, by the way. We were getting close to Christmas. Hope everyone's enjoying the holidays. Can't ready to have some time off work. So hope all you everydayers had a great weekend and are looking forward to this upcoming Christmas day. But Cyrus Allen and Alex Howard commits Texas A&M from the portal. Howard, a linebacker from Youngstown State. He's a Penguin. And then Cyrus Allen, the former La Tech Bulldog, right? Bulldog? Yeah, Bulldog. Well, I think so. But you bring in those 2 guys via the portal. First to speak on Cyrus Allen, I think what's interesting about him, or what's interesting about landing him is I think you kind of, when you look at a school offer players, you can kind of get the emphasis on what the coaching staff feels they need. So this is obviously the second receiver Texas A&M has brought in. You already brought in Javon Harvey earlier from Old Dominion. Now you bring in Cyrus Allen, and it's clear that they want depth at that position, which is funny because if you look at it, it's a position. I mean, frankly, you could not bring in Allen or Harvey, and I would feel fine with Texas A&M's wide receiver room. Now, depth is a different conversation. It's one thing that, like I said, you everydayers that here listen to Locked On Aggies every single day know, because I discussed this in the heading into last football season. Depth is something vital to a football team's success. It's why when Connor Rigman goes down, you had a quarterback in Max Johnson who still could help you win some football games and be in some football games. Depth is so important for football teams, for SEC football teams. I mean, this is a gauntlet. You're hitting people every single Saturday. I mean, you are high contact, hitting a lot of people hard every single Saturday. You're going to lose some players to injury. Having the next guy up mentality is great, but having the roster and the talent to be able to truly say next guy up and be okay is important. And that's why bringing in Cyrus Allen is important. So speaking to him as a player, like I said, was at Louisiana Tech. Last season, 46 receptions, 778 yards, and 4 touchdowns. 6 foot, 177 pounds. I think and I'll talk about the tape in a minute, but what I love, and I want to continue to reiterate the importance of this, is he has 2 years of eligibility left. Alex Howard, who we'll discuss, has 1 year eligibility left. I'll double check that and put that in the comments, but I didn't write that down. I wrote down it for Cyrus Allen, but so Howard 1 year, I believe. But Allen 2 years. And I think the importance from that is the term rental. We use it all the time when discussing the transfer portal. Well, he's a rental. You're getting a player for a year. I don't love the whole rental thing unless you're really trying to fill a need for next season. And the funny part about the receiver position, like I said, unless somebody's going to leave in the portal that the coaching staff's kind of like anticipating and they're continuing to add players, you're really good in that spot right now, and you're really deep in that spot right now. You got a healthy mix of young guys, older guys. Now, one thing you can say is you have lost a good amount of your receivers in your class. You lost Cam Coleman, you lost Draylon Miller, you lost a couple more guys. So point is, maybe that's what you're trying to make up for. And if that's the case, I'm cool with it. But regardless, I think it's a good addition. I'm never going to say no to bringing in a talented football player who's played a lot of college football. Never am I going to say, hey, nah, I don't want that guy. Cyrus Allen, the tape on him, it wasn't – I didn't get to see a ton of tape. I watched about, I think, 12, 13 highlights. And one thing I noticed about him was he is extremely fast. They had a video of him scoring a long touchdown where his speed was up over 19 miles per hour, which I'm pretty sure like 21 is where your A-Chains and your Tyreek Hill, I'll have to check that, but Mostert, that's where those guys are kind of sitting. So he's fast. This dude can move. And another thing I noticed, there's different types of receivers. I think there are receivers who create space via route running. And I talked about that with Javon Harvey the other day when he committed. Route running is so important. There's players that create space with route running and speed and shiftiness. And you can have a combination of all those things. I'm not what I'm getting ready to say. I'm not implying that Cyrus Allen is a bad route runner because he's not. But what I'm saying is I think he is so fast and so shifty. A lot of the highlights I watched, basically every highlight except for one I watched, there was one kind of contested catch. The rest of them, he had so much separation. And that separation is what I like to see. If you prove you can get separation at any level, I think you can succeed. Separation is key. I don't like the receivers that just win 50-50 balls because it gives the corner a good chance to make a play. I want a guy who is open, who's always open, shifty, fast, and that's what Cyrus Allen is, and that's what Javon Harvey is. Both of those guys who you bring in are I'm really excited about these two receivers and the role they're going to play. And I'm really, and we'll break this down when we get deeper into the offseason, but I'm really excited to see what their role kind of flat out is. But Cyrus Allen is a good addition to this football team, and I'm excited to see him on the field. You also bring in Alex Howard. Great numbers last year at Youngstown State. 76 tackles, 9.5 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, an interception, and a few passes defended. You lose Coop. You got York, but you're going to need some other linebackers. And is Howard one of those guys? I think he could be. I think that, I think there's a legitimate chance that I like the numbers. So I'll tell you this. When it comes to portal additions, I think that at positions like running back and receiver, I'm much more confident when they come from a lower level school. At positions like offensive and defensive line, linebacker, I'm a little more hesitant, but I like everything I've seen on Howard. Does this guy end up starting? I don't know. I think he could. I think it's a position. I don't think this is the last linebacker you bring in. I'd go get another one because it's a position I think you need more depth. You need the depth going into last season. You just were lucky that you had two guys stay healthy all year and were great football players. This year, there's no guarantee you're going to keep your linebacker healthy with how many tackles they get every game. You need to have lots of talented linebackers you can mix in and out of the football game. So I think Alex Howard's a great addition, but I'd go get another one. I'd go get another guy. I think A&M wanted that Arkansas linebacker. They missed on him, but he was talented. And Alex Howard, I'm not upset with this addition, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to sound negative about this at all. Truly, I think he's a good football player. I'm a little hesitant when I see a lower level school commit at one of those positions. Not to say it's not going to work out. Not saying that at all. I like the more proven Power 5 guys when it comes to positions like that. But at the end of the day, tape doesn't lie. I say that all the time. Technique and tape doesn't lie. I don't think he's going to come to the SEC and get physically dominated by offensive linemen. I think he's a strong guy. I think he can succeed. It will be interesting to see what his role is for this team. But those are your two portal additions. I think they make this football team a whole heck of a lot better. And I am excited to see what their roles are this season. And that is something we will break down further into the offseason. Now we're going to talk about hey, go get some offensive linemen. We'll have that conversation where I shout coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I got to tell you about our wonderful friends over at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride or die or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusion supply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. So, like I said, we're going to talk about offensive line, which is going to make me shout a little bit. So, be prepared. I'm kidding. I'm not going to actually shout, but we are going to discuss this. Offensive line is the number one position in need in the portal. I think you could argue that linebacker is number two, and you've done a good job filling in one there. And corner as well. And once again, you've done a good job filling in there. So, but still, if I had to rank position of needs, I would probably go O-line, corner, linebacker, side by side. I think they're both important. But O-line, I always want to have this speech when I discuss the importance of O-line. Offensive line is everything. If you don't have a good offensive line, your offense will not work. I don't care if your quarterback is prime Brady, prime Peyton Manning. Don't care. If your offensive line can't, or your running backs, Adrian Peterson, your receivers are Calvin Johnson, don't care. You can have that offense. And if the defense is getting to the quarterback every single play, it doesn't matter. And that, to me, is why it is so important to nail this offensive line transfer portal class. I know you got some kids coming in the offensive line. Coming into the 2024 recruiting class, which is great. Some talented guys I'm looking forward to seeing play. A lot of talent in this class. I don't want to see them on the field this year. Basantis, I think he was good. He was good. He was fine. But there was a lot that he didn't do well that hurt this football team, because freshmen should not be starting on the offensive line. You should never be in a position where you need a freshman to start on the offensive line. And, I also want to add real quick that Lacey, the kid we talked about the other day, committed to Louisville. Hate missing on him, but I like Cyrus Allen. He was a receiver. Lacey was. Colin Lacey went to Louisville. I like Cyrus Allen and Javon Harvey, so I'm not going to yell at a tree about that. And then Joey Slackman, who I really liked as well, went to Florida. But once again, I still feel good about defensive line. But I wanted to add those two notes there. Sorry, but you have to hit this offensive line transfer portal class out of the park. You've lost a couple guys to the portal. You've lost a couple guys to moving on to the next level, right? To an offensive line that was already very bad. Okay. You need to bring in offensive linemen. You got some coming in the recruiting class. So it's not like, you're losing 4 and you're gaining none or whatever the number is. You are bringing in a handful of offensive linemen. But I think you have got to go get. I wouldn't be upset if they went and brought in 3. In all reality, I would not be upset if they brought in 3 offensive linemen from the portal. Even, 1-year rentals, offensive line's the one place I'm good with it. It's kind of what I explained in segment 1. It's like, I'm fine with the rentals if it's a position that they're going to come in, start, give you 1 good year and go. Offensive line, if you go get maybe 2 guys that are rentals and then 1 guy who's got 2 years, I'm fine with that. proven guys who can play the position well is everything. You have to have them. You have to have those guys on the offensive line next year, or this is going to be ugly. I mean, truly, I mean, I don't care how good Connor Wigman is. I don't care how good your running backs are. I don't care how good your receivers are. And I think you are so talented in all those positions. If the offensive line isn't going to give Wigman time, you are not going to win football games. Don't care if he is one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. It doesn't matter. If he doesn't have time, if this offensive line can't protect, he's in trouble. So I am not saying that I am concerned about the offensive line recruiting. Transfer portal, I mean, there's like 42 million trillion people in the transfer portal right now. They're going to go get some offensive linemen. I'm not concerned about that for the long term. What I can say is that they have to hit it out of the park. So I'm not worried about them bringing in linemen. I'm not worried about the job getting done when it comes to offensive linemen. I'm just worried about, hey, when you bring them in some home run guys, you can't swing and miss in this transfer portal offensive line class. You have to bring in guys that make this roster better. You have to bring in guys who can help you win football games right now, who can protect your quarterback right now. And that is what's going to be so important when it comes to this recruiting class. This portal class. Have to hit it out of the ballpark with these offensive linemen. I would be fine if you brought in 3. And that's one thing I'll do some research on after signing day coming up on Wednesday, which is going to be very exciting and very interesting. A lot. And that'll be probably tomorrow's show is how can Texas A&M win signing day. So that'll be a ton of fun. A lot to break down there. But I think you need to find a way to bring in talented offensive linemen that can help you right now. And if you do that, I think it's going to lead to wins on the field. I feel a lot better about this team as a whole if you bring in a whole bunch of talented offensive linemen. So, but what I was going to say, I'm sorry, I think I got sidetracked. I was going to say this. After signing day, I'm going to look at scholarships and roster management and all that and see where we're at, what we need. That'll be a fun topic to discuss. But I'm going to do that after signing day and see kind of how many scholarships do we have for the portal, all that. So we'll look into that next week probably. So offensive linemen, ladies and gentlemen, I see all y'all's comments every single day. Yay, we got a receiver, cool, woo! We need offensive linemen. Listen, I'm right there with you. I agree with you on every. I see everydayers commenting that all the time. I get it, and I am with you. So, gotta hammer this talent and this transfer portal offensive line class. You've got to succeed, or this could be problematic. You lose quarterback Anthony Maddox. He decommits, flips, whatever you want to call it, heads over to Ole Miss. Can Miles O'Neal be the guy? We'll discuss that coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. So, Anthony Maddox, you had 2 quarterbacks committed in the 2024 class, one being Anthony Maddox, one being Miles O'Neal. Maddox, and it's funny, I don't know, do you call it a flip? Do you call it a decommitment? But he decommitted, and then he went to Ole Miss. But, I feel like if it's within the same day, it's just a flip. So, whatever. Whatever verbiage you want to use there, I'm fine with it, whether it's decommit or flip. I think you're fine either way. But you lose Maddox. I liked Maddox. I did. I think that he could have worked well in what Coach Colin Klein likes to do. I think he could have worked well at Texas A&M as a whole. But at the end of the day, I think Miles O'Neal is frankly the quarterback I liked better anyway. And some might say, "Oh, you're crazy." I mean, I liked Maddox a ton. I discussed that. I liked him. I like the fact that he can do it with his legs, he can do it with his arm. But Miles O'Neal has a cannon. I just think that he's got to work on some accuracy. He's got to get a little bit more accurate. He's got to do some things. He's got to become a better quarterback. But all of the size, every detail that you would want to see in a quarterback is there. And one thing I'll tell you too, don't write off Miles O'Neal as a runner. This guy can move. He can move. So, is Miles O'Neal the highest ranked guy in the world? No. On3 has him ranked higher than some other outlets. But, at the end of the day, I challenge you everydayers, you Aggie fans, to do this. Do me this, okay? Go right now. Not right now. After the episode, and come back to the comments. After the episode, go watch Miles O'Neal's tape, okay? Real quick, 5 minutes, whatever. Come back in the comment section and tell me you don't think this guy can be a star. And if you do, I'm okay. I can live with it. It's okay. But I don't know how you can watch that tape. And when I watch that tape, I'll tell you what, my immediate reaction is not 3-star. No. I've been high on Miles O'Neal since the day he committed, which was this summer. I was excited watching him. I saw a video, about a week or two ago, watching him just sling a football 80 yards. Stuff, not human stuff. This guy, a tall, strong quarterback who can move a little bit with his legs, athletic, and can throw the football. Arm talent, velocity, everything you want to see from a quarterback. I think he just needs to work on a little bit of accuracy, but I think it'll come. I'm not worried about it. I'm really not. I think that this is a guy that can come in and succeed. Now, is he going to start the day he walks on campus? No, I don't think he's going to start the day he walks on campus. Is he going to start? I think he's the guy. You have to count eligibility. So let's think about it. So you got Reed, who was a freshman last year. So he's got a whole bunch of eligibility left. And then you've got Wiggs. So what does Wiggs even have left? Last year was a sophomore year. I don't think he took a red shirt, so he should have 2 years left, right? So point is, he's going to be sitting for a little while. He's not going to walk in and, the earliest you'd see him start would be his sophomore year, which would probably be his red shirt freshman year, because he'd probably take a red shirt this year or this season. But I just watching the film on this guy, watching the tape on this guy, I can't not be excited about what he brings to Texas A&M. Losing Maddox hurts because, once again, I liked the tape on Maddox. I'm just saying that the style of quarterback that I prefer is a guy like O'Neal, who can just fire the football, but can still get out of a jam with his legs. And that's kind of what O'Neal is. And I think you already have a couple quarterbacks on roster who are what Maddox is. I think that having a guy like O'Neal helps when it comes to you got various quarterback styles on the roster. And I think that's a good thing. I think you want to be you want to have as many different style of player in a room as you can. And that's what you have with O'Neal. So yes, not happy about losing Maddox, never happy about losing the commit, never happy about giving Lane Kiffin a commit. I will tell you, as much as I like to make fun of Lane Kiffin, he is hitting a home run in the portal. I think they might get Walt, which is going to hurt to see. But no, the Ole Miss is going to be good next year. Ole Miss is going to be a good football team next year, which is why I'm very happy, that we don't got to mess with them. But that's kind of how I feel about the quarterback situation. I think Miles O'Neal could be a star. I think he's going to be a really good football player. I have really high hopes for this guy. So I'm excited to see what he kind of does, what he looks like. I want to hear some positive reports when he gets on campus. I want to hear all that. So I'm very excited to see what he's going to do in his Texas A&M career, because I think it could be a pretty good one. I kind of want to call my shot, lay my claim that I think he's going to be a very good football player at Texas A&M. So, to wrap it up, you bring in Cyrus Allen, receiver from Louisiana Tech. You bring in Alex Howard, the linebacker from Youngstown State. I think this staff is doing a great job in the transfer portal, but I do think you need to continue to hit the offensive line position hard. You got to bring in more offensive linemen. if you don't bring in offensive linemen, like I said, I'm just going to be extremely concerned for the 2024 season because, you have all this talent all around the offense, but are you going to have time to throw the ball? Are you going to have room to run the ball? And I think the answer to that is no, unless you bring in some talented offensive linemen to create those holes, to give the quarterback space. So that is kind of the importance, in my opinion, when it comes to the 2020, the 2023, whatever, 2024 transfer portal period. You got multiple of them. So don't forget, I mean, if you only bring in one offensive lineman here, you could still have a grad transfer coming. You could still get one in the second period after a spring. So don't be discouraged if the offensive line room isn't hit super hard right now. I believe that I know that they're looking at this roster and saying, ooh, we have got to fill in some offensive linemen. So I know they're going to hit that out of the ballpark. I'm not concerned about it, but it's definitely something that they have to, because if they don't, this roster could be in trouble next season if you don't have some talented offensive linemen. That is going to do it for Monday's episode of Locked On Aggies. Like I said, I hope everybody had an outstanding weekend. Christmas is coming up. Family's in town. Lots to be excited about. If you're an Aggie fan, lots to be excited about in life. Football, fantasy football playoffs. I beat my dad. Sorry, Dad. Love you. That one. Ooh, I still feel bad in the playoffs. Not really. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. But hope everybody has a great rest of your day today. Great rest of your Monday. And we will see you tomorrow.